Hello, I'm X and welcome to the fantasy. So today we're going to be trying out a block art stamp lino cut type of starter kit that I picked up at Michael's. This was roughly about $40. I believe it was $39.99 at the store with tax in my area. It bumped it up to be like $41. Now, $40 is, granted, I think a lot of money, especially when you are broke like me and you kind of have to budget what you can and can't buy throughout the weeks. So this was a bit of a steep price, especially for later on. You'll see why I think this is a little overpriced. Here in the kit, it gives us a couple different colors. We get black, we get yellow, we also get red, blue, camera did not want to focus on the blue or any of the colors really, don't know why. And then we get this one. It's not white, it's a transparent one, which I did not test out in this video, but I will have to eventually. Side compartment, we get the roller, which had a very eraser-like texture to it. But it does have a good weight to it. We also get our carving tool, which this is actually pretty neat. You unscrew the top and the bottom holds all of your carving tool heads. And as you can see here, you get like 5 different heads for it, which is very cool, very compact, which I like. Seeing as how my office is overly crowded and full and I need to get rid of stuff, we're not going to talk about that. Moving on, while I screw this top back on. I don't know why, but I really struggled. It didn't want to line up and screw on. Next up, you get a block. This block was a little confusing while I was holding it because I was trying to figure out how you would cut on it. The back of it is like plywood type of texture. Then you have like this eraser like material that you cut your stamp out of. Oh, these instructions. I was gonna save it for later, but I need to rant about them now. These instructions are the absolute worst instructions I have ever seen with a starter kit. It does not tell you what each carving head does. It has no like pamphlet of which one goes to like which part of the process. It doesn't explain anything. It just explains what the black on white and white on black technique is. And it also nowhere says what the hell this thing was for. I later found out by looking at the front of the box, it's supposed to be your palette. You're supposed to put your ink on it. I don't do that in this video. I ended up just using a spare piece of paper. But it would have been nice if the instructions had, detailed what each part of the kit was. That would have been nice. Yes, it says it on the side of the box, but instructions. It would have been so much nicer if it was on the instructions. Mini instruction rant aside, right now I'm gonna open up the pad and then you'll see that it has a very eraser-like texture, and I don't know if this is an eraser or what this is made out of. Also, like to show off my E&K box cutter that I got. As you can see, it's very rubbery, very flexible, very bendy. It's pretty thick too, so you don't have to worry about snapping it or carving in too deep with the tools that the kit gives you. Here I am looking again at the directions to see if there's any sort of tutorial or how to use, and the how to use section over on the right side of the screen literally just tells you that if you want to copy a print that has words on it, you are going to have to mirror the image, as well as telling you that at the end of each project you need to clean your tools. Again, for $40, it should be giving you a pamphlet that describes each carving head tip and what it does and what you use it for. Same with for the roller and the black tray. Again, $40 and the instructions give you absolutely nothing to work with. This is just a little ridiculous on their part. I personally couldn't think of any ideas off the top of my head, so I went to Pinterest. And I searched up lino cut, eraser stamp ideas, anything along that line, and you'll get a similar result. The potion bottles here gave me some interesting ideas. I figured that they were simple enough, they wouldn't be too hard as a first time. The snake one looked really cool, but I was a little too intimidated to try that. These cat ones are really cute and looked super simple and easy. I think the butterfly one that I scrolled past was also pretty cool, but maybe not for a first time user. These potion bottles, while they are cute, I think they are too small for a beginner to try and do. This fish one also seemed very easy for a beginner like myself. I did end up going with the cat stamp ideas that we saw before. The cat I decided to go with was the loafed up version of the cat. That one seemed like the easiest to do out of all of them. My phone was being very finicky during this. And my camera, for some reason, had a lot of focus issues. Here I pulled out my triangular shaped pencil. I don't know why I picked this one. And when I went to click it, the lead came out a lot longer than it was supposed to, so I was worried that the lead was going to fall out. It didn't. It was perfectly fine. I had a lot of trouble with the cat's eyes. I couldn't decide if I wanted them open or closed. I ended up changing them 3 different times. One, because I thought the open eyes, I wouldn't be able to do them that small. And then I thought, oh, I do little triangle eyes. and I ended up going with neither. Yep, good job, X. Figuring it out off screen. I don't know why, but I had a hard time with the cutting tool. Eventually, I did figure it out. Figured it in. And my camera was out of focus this whole entire time, I'm now realizing. Sorry, I'm new at this. I will figure it out as I go. Side note here, I was also going extremely light because I didn't know how much pressure I needed. I definitely could have gone a bit harder with my tool, and I, for some reason, decided to show off that I'm ambidextrous by switching hands throughout this whole thing instead of just turning the pad to go with the grain of the tool. I knew this beforehand. I had seen a couple other people move their canvas around so that they could get even cuts, and I don't know why I didn't do that. I just decided to keep switching hands. To anyone who wants to try this, for a first time, I would recommend a bigger picture or doing a bigger idea, and also cutting out the square of it instead of trying to work in this small little corner. That way you can rotate the block so you get more even cuts and you don't have that kind of jaggedness that I do in this video. I don't know why, but I was not very confident to do the mouth. I was really scared that I was going to cut too deep or go too long with the mouth and it would end up like hitting the eyes. I could have used more pressure again. I decided last minute that I wanted to have the cat's ears have kind of like their pink center. I knew on paper it would show up white, but I did want to have that kind of color variation. This also made me very nervous because I was scared to go onto my outline and fear that it would mess up the print. And here I decided to finally just do the blank eyes or the meh face, but in cat form. I also don't know if you're supposed to go in opposite directions, but I did, and I didn't see anything wrong with it when I did print it. So there's definitely a little bit of a learning curve, though throughout this whole project it wasn't very hard and was pretty easy to do. I tried cutting this with scissors. Scissors were not going to cut this. Again, the instructions didn't say what each tool was for. I ended up using my box cutter to cut this, and then later on shrinked down the print with the knife looking head that you saw earlier in this video. I decided to go super simple with this and just use some of the black ink. Also, again, my camera did not want to focus on any of the ink. I don't understand. Again, their instructions did not say how to distribute the ink or where to put it, so I ended up just putting it on a spare piece of paper and then taking the roller and rolling it over it. It worked just fine, so eh. You live and you learn. Again, this project I feel like would have gone a lot smoother had it given more intuitive instructions and had explained things instead of just saying, hey, you cut this way for white paper, this way for black paper. For my first time ever doing this, it's not a bad print and it's not a bad start. I definitely think if the instructions had more meat to them and had more explanation, it probably would have come out a little bit better. And like I said, I do end up shrinking this with the knife tool. I don't know if that's what it's used for, but if you guys know more about this than I do, I'd love to hear about it in the comments because I really want to learn how to do better. Also, I'm going to leave this clip in because you guys can laugh at me struggling to put this frickin' cut tool attached. I don't know why I struggled. Now for the question you've all been wondering. Is it worth $40? To me, personally, it's a little too expensive. It does give you all the tools, which in long run is cheaper than buying them all separate. But that's kind of up for you guys to decide. This was my first time ever making a YouTube video. So if you liked it, consider subscribing, liking, and sharing it with friends and family. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye! Also, a link to my Patreon is down below.